life is really too short. Life is so short. So there are people that are very comfortable being worker bees, and it's okay about being worker bees. But for the entrepreneurial spirit that prefers to be the queen bee, so to speak, stop wasting your time making a living, helping others build their own dreams. Step out of your comfort zone and start making a life in yourself. And the best way you can do it is to really figure out and leverage your life's purpose, because guess what? It's a brand new economy.
Welcome to Start the Doubts. I'm your host, Jared Easley. Joining us is my favorite guest co-host from Lakeland, Florida. We have from rapwithnick.com, Nicole Welch. Welcome.
Thank you so much, Jared. It's so great to be here.
I love what you do, Nicole, and let the record reflect that. So it's an honor to have you on today. And, of course, aloha to our friend from Maui, Kimanzi Constable. Hey, man.
Hey, aloha, Jared, and thanks so much for having an episode without Jody Mayberry.
Yeah, we brought Nicole in just because, Jody's going to listen to this and he'll resent us. So, No, we're excited to have Nicole here. All right, and of course, our guest, we have a really cool guest today, one of my favorite people online, somebody that has a lot of sass and a lot of fun. So our guest today is Patty, I want to say this right, Patty Elizee.
Elizee, correct.
Elizee, Patty Elizee. Mm-hmm. I just say Elizee, but I don't think I'm saying it right. So Patty Elizee, a.k.a. Patty E. I call you Patty E.
Patty E, that's right.
So Patty E is a former sales and marketing director in the direct sales industry turned pro as the host and creator of the Brand New Economy podcast. Great podcast, by the way. She podcast personality and a speaker who's passionate in connecting with inspiring entrepreneurs, leveraging her life's purpose through the power of storytelling by entertaining, educating, and empowering entrepreneurial spirits just like you into taking action, transitioning from lifetime employee to a lifestyle entrepreneur. So Patty E from brandneweconomy.com, welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you so much, Jared. It is such an honor to be here. Thank you so much for opening the doors and allowing me to be a guest here. I was excited to, co-create with all you guys. And more than anything, I was so excited to meet Kimanzi because I know, Kimanzi has a little special place in my heart because Maui is just an amazing place. I've been there millions of times. And I couldn't wait to meet Kimanzi, of course, collaborate with you guys. But I needed to ask him a question. Hey, Kimanzi, have you ever heard of a song called Honey Baby by 3+ from Hawaii? You haven't?
I have not.
I need to take a listen to here because it has something to do with an homage to Hawaii and your celebrity crush. So I hope you enjoy this little welcome, aloha spirit to the show. So forgive me to jump right in, but this had to be for Kimanzi. So Kimanzi, enjoy, my love.
I'm doing the hula.
Here's her music standing under the mango tree.
I want to hear some beatboxing.
Her looks so fine to me. She sings about heartbreak and love she's searching for. He tries to shake it off, addicted to her charm, loves the blank space song. Taylor Swift's his lady. Come on, he's honey baby. Taylor Swift's the lady. Come on, he's honey baby.
So, that is especially for you, Kimanzi.
Oh, wow.
I love it.
We need to stop the interview right now. There is no getting better than that.
No, when this is over, I need your address. I gotta send you some stuff from Maui. That is just wow.
I know so much about you. That's why I had to tease you about it with the little flair.
Oh, thank you,
spirit. So.
Jared, dude. Where have you ever heard that on a podcast before?
I don't think we've ever had anyone sing and perform quite like that on the podcast. So, Patty, that is a first.
Patty E, it's Patty in town.
It's Patty, man. It's gonna get it. Something surprise.
Entertain, educate, and empower y'all.
I was hoping Nicole would rap, but now I don't know. That's a tough act to follow.
That's a tough one to follow, yeah. Jared, me and you will rap on my show.
Well, in fairness, let the record reflect that Patty E did speak at the Podcast Florida event, and Nicole, you were a speaker at that as well. And Nicole, you and I actually did do a little ad lib, beatboxing and rapping. Yeah. It was very ad lib, but I think that should be coming in the future. We should definitely do that.
Listen, I do want to plug this. There's an app called Rap Chat, and we can actually pick our own beats and then record a rap on your phone and send it to each other. How cool is that?
Oh my goodness. I am downloading that as soon as possible. I think Patty's already figuring out a way to use that for marketing.
Right.
All right, so Patty, thank you for that surprise. What is the best concert that you have ever been to?
Oh my goodness. Okay, aside from me being a big diehard fan of Janet Jackson, I've seen 1,000 of her concerts, but the one in particular that just does it all is that I had an intimate, impromptu jam session with Prince. at Club
What?
21. Yes, Club
Jealous.
31 at the Rio Hotel. He has his own club over there that was named after his 2005 album. And I was doing a gig. Oh, actually, I was doing a gig over there. I was working with a marketing company, and I was on my way up to the Voodoo Lounge. And the bottom, I see this marquee, Prince Tonight. And it was really like, literally, he just showed up last minute and decided to do a jam session. I said, is that right? And he goes, yep, Prince is performing tonight. I go, when? This is just a half hour ago. I said, how much? And then here's my card. And it was only like about 200 people, even less. I was literally like an arm's width distance with Prince, and we just did a jam session with Prince. So to me, that overshadowed any kind of concert, just having an intimate jam session with Prince. That was just the highlight of my life.
Did he play Purple Rain?
Of course.
I love Prince. I'm so jealous, Patty.
God, he started out with, because he wrote the song for, Sinead O'Connor, Nothing Compares to You.
Yep.
Wrote that song for her. And he came out with, the fog and the silhouette, and he just came out singing that song. I was just goosing all over. But it was just amazing, an amazing opportunity to just have a jam session with him one-on-one, just a small group of people, a small intimate concert. It was just amazing.
Okay, I'm racking my brain, Patty. I've had a lot of guests on this show, and I can't think of anyone that's ever said Prince as their favorite concert. So I don't know why that hasn't happened, but I love your taste.
Because he's awesome. No, I'm just kidding.
No, it should have happened.
It was huge back in the 80s when he did the whole, that was with when Michael Jackson did their Thriller tour. It was like, I was going
to ask Patty, when was that? Was that back in the
2007?
Oh,
2007. Yeah, he just had his club is still there. He just eventually every once in a while just decides to show up and do an impromptu concert. And I just happened to be at the right place at the right time. So
Patty, speaking of Prince, who to you is the most powerful celebrity brand today?
Oh my goodness. My all-time favorite only is Miss Oprah Winfrey. She is the epitome of what I believe is a very powerful celebrity brand that just oozes positivity in the world. So I'm just totally in love with Oprah.
Yeah, we love Oprah, but we also love a certain singer that you kind of mentioned. So what do you think about her brand?
Oh, Taylor Swift? Kimanzi's baby, honey baby. I think, honestly, for her age, I find her extremely very mature and very smart and savvy for her age, that she doesn't go with what's typical of the flow of the industry. And I totally respect her. I think she has it going on. She knows how to play with, with the media, and she does it to her she leverages it. So she leverages her life's purpose, and she branded herself phenomenally. And I think she's kind of cool. I think she's really good compared to everybody else. She's a standout from the rest of her in her age group.
Totally. To Kimanzi's point, I mean, she's really good with the way she treats her fans.
Yeah.
That's not always true for other folks.
No, because it's always about, the fans are what giving her that lifestyle. And I honestly believe that if the community is giving you that lifestyle, that is only the minimum thing that you can do is to give back. You have to give back to the community that sustains you as a form of appreciation. Again, it's all about reciprocity.
Yes.
Yeah, and I mean that's honestly what kind of prompted, to a certain extent, not all of it, but prompted the book that Jared and I co-wrote called Stop Chasing Influencers, is because too many people do start somewhere, they get somewhere, and then they forget where they came from.
Exactly. It's so important.
And I would point out too, as far as, since we're talking about Taylor Swift here, Jared brought it up, let the record reflect that. When she was
the Honey Baby song. Yeah.
Well, when she was coming up and nobody knew who she was in Nashville, which is crowded with musicians. She wanted to get her record out there. What she did is she went to all the radio stations there in Nashville, and she brought all the DJs homemade cookies that she made. Mm-hmm. And while the DJ was eating the cookies out there while they were playing music, she would play a song for the DJ while he was eating. That was the deal. Mm-hmm. And if the DJ liked the song, they'd put her right there on the radio on the spot. And that's how she started out. It's
about thinking outside the box. Stop doing what everyone else is doing and stop following the crowd and do something that's going to stand out, like my serenade to Kimanzi.
Yep.
That definitely stood out.
Yeah. Hey, Jared, ask me what my new favorite concert is.
Kimanzi, what is the best concert you've ever been to?
Patty E on Starved Adults.
I think that.
And my intimate jam session with you.
I am never going to forget that, Patty.
Never. So, Patty, let's do a little finish this sentence.
Okay.
The celebrity's life I would trade 1 week for is...
Okay, now there's a reason why I say this, because it's all about the brand new economy. And honestly, I have to say Jennifer Lopez. And the reason why I say Jennifer Lopez, aside from I do admire her again, it's all about the branding. It's all about going beyond, she had Jennifer Lopez as her name. Then she, brought in with J-Lo, and that came with the cool, ringtone with the J-Lo. She leveraged her, being a dancer, a singer, an actress, a spokesperson, a clothing line, a perfume line, endorsements, and her main message and her main thing is she's just the girl from the Bronx. So I think that was just fascinating looking at it from a branding point of view of eyes. I think she's phenomenal. And I would give anything to find out what it'd be like to really get to that point where you have all these people that you're surrounded by people that lift you higher to know how to be able to run an empire, just like how Oprah runs an empire. So for anything as far as because I relate to her as number one, I have a Hispanic heritage. I'm from New York. If my life was different, I would be the girl from Brooklyn. She'd go from Bronx. There would have been a competition there. Forget at the back of the day where it was Christina and Britney. It would have been Patty E and J-Lo. It would have been a competition there for sure. But that would be the person I would definitely trade for a day. And I love what she did for herself as a brand.
Well said. So let's roll into blank versus blank. We're going to give you two options if you'd be willing to pick one and a short reason why. Personal development versus personal branding.
Oh, good one. It's hard to kind of pick one or the other because I do believe they go hand in hand. And again, basically someone that I believe that does with the personal development, personal branding, that does a phenomenal job is Tony Robbins. I mean, he's all about personal development, but in the same sense, made a personal brand about himself. But it is important for you as a person to constantly be changing. You got to be constantly learning, constantly being like a sponge to craft your message, to craft your brand, to bring, a positive message forward to the world, and to really make the best of what you have to offer. So that you can elevate others. So that's what I would say.
All right. Over to you, Nicole.
So tell us let's get into some content. Tell us what is the Brand You economy? That is your tagline, your title. What does that mean?
Yeah, well, let me just get a little history there. I'm also a little dorkalicious history buff here. I love to observe things. I love to troubleshoot, do case studies. And I started realizing there's a lot of different things that have been happening. We've had like the industrial age, the space age, the informational age, the technological age. Technically, I mean, we all could be witnesses that the past 25 years, we have seen the evolution of the internet. And now we know that the internet historically really was back in 1969, but it really didn't come to the forefront until the 1990s. And then Google came about in 1998 and kind of put all the encyclopedia door-to-door men out of business because basically Google is our encyclopedia online. And then in the past 8 to 10 years, just the evolution of the social media revolution with Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, all these different things, it has opened up a gateway and it has basically made the world smaller as far as communicating with one another and being in touch with another, being globally connected. And then YouTube, especially with YouTube, everyone started doing instructional videos and giving information and helping one another out. And hence, YouTube became onto YouTube. Whenever you need to learn something, what do? We all go to YouTube, right? To find an instructional video, correct? Mm-hmm. Right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So back in like around 2008, when we had the economy bomb, I mean, everybody was just like bombing. That's when all of a sudden people started really taking advantage of social media and trying to figure out, okay, no one ever thought that anyone can really make money online. Everyone had that persona of like, ooh, it's something icky and, not to like, I don't want to say a bad word, but it just wasn't really a great way of doing business.
It was spammy.
Spammy, yeah. And so all of a sudden, everyone was like blogging, right? It also was blog. No one really knew what blogging was about until it started gaining more momentum. But with the blogging, you started seeing stories, started reading stories of people's personal lives, being authentic, really feeling connected. And then the next thing you know, people started to leverage what they knew, like the knowledge that they have. And I mentioned it before in Podcast Florida, if you were to put a thumb drive in your brain, all of your life's experiences and all of the knowledge that you have, you're able to give it to the world as compared to being in a department and giving it to a company in four walls in a cubicle and, helping someone else build their dream. And so I was kind of observing all these people at the time around 2008, in which most of you can understand, like with Pat Flynn, back in 2008 is when it started coming about. And I started seeing Marie Forleo and all these names like Daniel Laporte, Gabrielle Bernstein, everyone all of a sudden started to make that connection, making that tribe. And in the same sense, they were kind of packaging their name. They were branding themselves. And all of a sudden, they were no longer being a representative for a direct sales company or working in the corporate America. They were actually fulfilling themselves and making a life for themselves. And that for me, I just thought to myself, they're branding themselves. And now with 2008, you don't have to be looking for a job anymore. Look inside yourself and brand yourself. And then this is what the Brand You economy is all about. Now, mind you, it's been around for quite some time, but within the online industry, I think it's more relevant as compared to seeing entertainers because they've all branded themselves, but we weren't seeing it that way. But it actually changed the face of all of us to be able to create the life that we love and a business that we love in this brand new economy. So that's how brand new economy came about and, kind of went from there.
When it comes to a personal brand, what are some things entrepreneurs and podcasters and bloggers and all of us, what are some things we should think about?
Well, one of the things that I believe that everyone should really think about, aside from the obvious, which is the why you're doing it. Everyone understands that's like the foundation of what you do is what is your why. But a lot of people tend to think of themselves as entrepreneurs. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm a podcaster. I'm this, but they don't tend to think of themselves as a brand. They just feel that a brand is more like, you think of more like Coca-Cola or Nike or product that way. They really don't think that their name is a brand, that the person is a brand, but the brand is about the emotion. You know what I mean? It's an emotional thing as far as the connection. And so one of the things is your core message. What is your core message? And for example, if you really look back at Oprah's all about like living your life. And if you think about Richard Branson, he's all about, be daring, especially with the title of his book, screw business as usual. And then you have, like, for example, Dr. Phil, like get real, we all have to have those kind of messages within ourselves to think beyond, something bigger, the bigger picture than just your product. So I think those are really things that people need to understand other than just the logistics of running a business. They need to understand and embrace and just totally envelop themselves that I am a brand other than just, what I do.
Patty, one of my favorite memories of you from Podcast Florida is you got up there on stage and you just, all of a sudden, you got everybody on their feet and you just started jamming out to Bob Marley.
Yes.
And I'll never forget it. And everybody was singing along. I mean, it was one of the cooler moments from the event. And you just really have branded yourself and just try something a little bit unique, a little bit different. But one of the things I want to talk about is there's a lot of people who listen to this show that are thinking, hey, I like to go to events. I want to go to conferences. I want to start to meet people and grow my network in that way. Patty, one of your strengths is going to these events and standing out immediately. I think about Podcast Movement where you had like this cutout, like a selfie cutout for Instagram or whatever. It was one of the craziest, coolest things. My wife loved it. My wife doesn't remember most of the people at Podcast Movement, but she remembers Patty E. So the reason I bring that up is for the listener who's wanting to grow their network, they're wanting to specifically go to conferences and events, what are some things that they can consider doing in order to stand out, not necessarily in a bad way, but to stand out and kind of connect with people at these events?
To be honest with you, it's just being yourself. It's just being yourself, being creative. How there's an expression that goes, just do you. Another thing is don't worry about what other people think because it's none of their business. And it's really all about connecting. And so with regards to when I went to Podcast Movement, I thought to myself, okay, what is it that I can do? You gave me the honor to be able to do a rock star intro to Cynthia Sanchez of Oh So Pinteresting. And of course, it was all about imaging. So to me, I thought of like a picture frame. So I thought, okay, I'm going to do this as a prop because everyone wants to do a prop, something different to stand out. So it was just leading the creative process going. And that was just me. I was just being myself to saying the creative process. And I thought to myself, okay, let me do a cutout as if you were to see an image on a website and you always see like the little icons, the Facebook icons. And so I put the little Facebook icons and I just framed myself as if, it went in hand with her talk. But in the same sense, it allowed me to use it further into collaborating with everyone there and taking those picture moments. And I also put all the different artwork of the podcast people around. And of course, on top, front and center was Podcast Movement 14 to stay because it was about the brand, about the impact, about the movement, about the event. So I was able to be creative to combine that all. And it just became a nice little icebreaker, talkable moment. And I couldn't believe that it went so well, that everyone loved it. And everybody has those picture moments. But it's just one of those things because I was just being myself. I was just thinking of something creative. So think of something that's creative within yourself that, number one, more than anything, connects with people. What is it that connect? We all connect through photos. We connect through music. And those are the really easy things that instantly, puts away, stereotypes of either finances or anything. It connects us on a human level. We are all human, emotional. We all, collaborate. We have these emotions. And what is it as far as connecting with everyone? So that's basically what I did is just be yourself. And what is it that you can do to connect with others?
Real quick, Patty, what's the most creative business card that you've ever seen?
Oh, creative business card that I ever seen?
I mean, you meet a lot of folks, so I'm sure there's got. Or what do you think would be a creative business card if you don't have one that pops in your mind?
Oh my goodness, that's a good one. Actually, to be honest with you, a thumb drive. I would think a thumb drive.
Oh, people are taking notes.
Yeah, because with a thumb drive, you're able to put your name brand on it, right? And so, and then if anybody wants to know more about you, just plug it in your computer, and boom, you can tell your whole story.
That's a good idea.
And then you then they can, whatever left over, they can use it, they can erase it, whatever, but you'll always have your brand on the thumb drive. So I would say thumb drives, or I've even seen thumb drives that are bracelets, that are actually like wrist bracelets.
Yes.
I think that would be the great to do. There you go.
Yeah, if you like this bracelet, leave a review.
That's
The bracelet.
Bracelet. Yeah, they're bracelets where you could put either a message or whatever, and it's a thumb drive. And so remember those old bracelets that you could slap it on? Remember those little?
Yes, I love those.
Oh, yeah.
bracelets.
Yeah, like the slap-ons.
Yeah.
That's what I would think would be a real. Okay, you can have that. That's a free one there. That would just came out of my mind.
That would be a good. Yeah, that would be a good.
Popped out of my. Here's the thumb drive.
I want a Rap with Nick slap bracelet.
Yes.
I'm making them rat with Nick. And you know what, Patty? Me and you have rapped a lot, haven't we?
Yeah.
Podcast movement, and we're going to wrap this year, 2015 podcast movement in Fort Worth, Texas. So,
Come on.
let's go. So,
hats with hats.
me and you, Patty, we talk a lot about being deliberate and really being intentional with everything that we do. Tell us about the power of setting intentions. What does that look like for someone who's listening today?
Well, let me tell you something. That is a very powerful thing. And I had the pleasure to actually experiment. It's all about experimenting because you have to definitely be able to walk the walk before you can talk the talk. And I did an experiment, and it was back in 2014, and I actually made a video of it to kind of document everything. I had set an intention that 2014 was going to be an exceptional year. I don't know how or when or what. I just made sure I made an exceptional year. And anything that came along the way, and it was just synchronicity, how it really felt perfect month to month to month, that anything that I was going to be able to do that I really wanted to bring myself to the next level, or bring what I say, my ceiling back to my floor, and bring myself to the next level, is really making sure that whatever decision I was going to make is it going to be an exceptional decision. And along the way, it just did that. Like I made the decision that I was going to start a podcast. So I took Cliff's course in February and I enrolled. March was social media marketing role. I said, okay, I'm going to make myself available to get there and meet them face to face, the people that I have been listening to for the past 5 years that I have admired, connect with them, cultivate a relationship. And I did that. April, I just decided to figure out like, okay, we're going to go ahead and do this. And I just kept going month to month to month, went to podcast movement, connected with Jared. I just did it. And when I went back to reflect the year and I did the video, I was like, man, I really did make this an exceptional year. So as far as setting an intention is one thing, but more than anything, it will not do anything until you take action. It's the first time that when I actually took the action, one thing is saying one thing, but doing is so much more powerful. But when you say and do together, it's amazing what the world would change. And to be honest with you, 2014 has been such a pivotal year with, again, collaborating, meeting, and taking it on, that I'm just thrilled that I'm literally right here in this moment, just soaking it in, just being with you guys. Just amazing.
Patty, Jared and I are going to be releasing a book later this year, and we really want to just make a splash. And so we have been brainstorming ways to connect with very influential people like Oprah, and I don't know about Richard Branson, but Richard Branson. But what are some alternative ways for making connections with influential people?
Man, alternative ways to make a connection with influential people. It's kind of funny. I did something there were some big names that I met. Well, I would consider myself big names, but they weren't like big names. But there were these people that I went to their workshops. And it's very different from an event. It was actually a workshop that had they did a book tour and they literally spoke about the book and you were more one-on-one and intimate with them. And those are one of the things that I find that's really cool is finding those kind of people that have those kind of intimate workshops where you can actually get a little closer to them as compared to being the many of thousands of fans that are on Facebook or Twitter or there are things like that. And so what I ended up doing was, because I met them and I, more than anything, I said, okay, I got to get myself a selfie. Forget these little Photoshops, with the book. Everyone does that. I got to do something different. I'm like, I need to do some selfies. So I did some selfies with these people, again, making that impression. And then what I ended up doing was that at the end of the year, because they don't know me, and you all know we have newsletters and we're able to connect with them, and you have their addresses. So I was looking through their newsletters with their addresses because it's always on the bottom of their newsletter. I went ahead and sent out a Christmas card to them, but I actually did a more personalized Christmas card where I took the photo and what my brand was and a message and saying, thank you for being such a highlight of my year, and really handwrite it out and really connect with them so that when they got there, so I got a message back from them. I was able to, ironically, there was one person that I totally loved meeting. This was back in September. This was Don Miguel Reese Jr. This is the son of Don Miguel Reese, who is his father wrote the 4 Agreements. He came back to another workshop in my area and I went back and saw him. And he immediately remembered me. He goes, I got your Christmas card. I'm like, hey, and I was just like, I immediately connected with him. And I had the chutzpah to ask him, would you consider? And he said yes. And he gave me a sound bite. So again, finding different ways to connect through people than just the norm, or doing something that make you stand out. So there's just different ways of being able to, like I said, the best thing to do is try to see if they have any workshops, anything that has more of a smaller, intimate scene that you could be able to filtrate more and connect with them on a closer, like get to them closer than just the norm of an email. Did I answer that question?
Patty, I found something interesting recently, and I shared this with Dan Franks, and it blew his mind. So I'll share it here. When you're trying to contact somebody, if you can't find their email address, if they have a YouTube channel, let me pull this up because this is pretty interesting.
Nugget bomb.
No, it's interesting. So, on YouTube, if I'll just go to like, let me just say, I don't know. I'll pick some random guy named Kimanzi Constable. And then on YouTube, if you go to someone's page, over on the far right, there's a tab called About. And under About, there's a button that says Send a Message, and that goes to their Gmail account.
Okay.
Awesome.
Yeah, so it's just kind of a cool way to get somebody to read your email if you can't find a way to get them to. We actually tried this strategy with one of our sponsors for Podcast Movement.
Did it work?
And we got through to them. We couldn't find a contact on their website, and we contacted them through YouTube.
See?
So
great minds think alike. When you bring them all together, see, you learn.
So, yeah, that may not be contacting influential people.
Did you stumble upon that, Jared, or you?
Yeah, I was just messing around with YouTube one day, and I noticed that send message button. And I tested it, and it went to my Gmail. I was like, wow.
Get out. Yeah.
I was like, how many people don't know about that?
Oh, well, now they know now.
Anyway, okay, so that was a tangent, but anyway. A Patty E exclusive.
Yes.
Okay, so Patty, we're going to start to wrap up. We got a couple of lightning questions here. So who is doing something that interests you right now?
Well, I mentioned it already before. There's one thing about branding stuff, but I'm really deep into personal development because I think, it goes hand in hand as always, growing yourself. And I love Don Miguel Ruiz and his son, Don Miguel Jr. with the 4 agreements and the 5 levels of attachment, because they talk about the Toltec wisdom. And it's really cool because of the indigenous heritage of them. The Toltec means artists. And they use life as their canvas. And so because I'm a creative person, I love creating things. How they say life isn't about finding yourself. Life is about creating yourself. So as a creative, I just think it'd be cool to be that Toltec, being, the creator, the artist, and using life to create the life that you want. So I'm really into that whole Toltec wisdom and the Don Miguel Ruiz family.
That's awesome, Patty. Patty, what, for anyone who's listening today, what is the biggest piece of advice you can give someone today for them to do?
Well, more than anything, I'm going to put a little Spanish out in there. There's an expression that we have in Spanish that says, dígame con quién andas y te diré con quién eres, which means, tell me who you're with and I tell you who you are. So it all depends on, when it comes to, I think Oprah's popular quote is, surround yourself only with people who are going to lift you higher. So it is all depending on who you're surrounding yourself with. Are you surrounding yourself with negative people that are just going to give you a negative, what is called death by association? Or you're going to surround yourself with those that are going to elevate you and be really of service. So to me, I think that's the best advice, is just to surround yourself with only those that's going to help you elevate you and bring you higher.
This has been some really good advice. There's been some good singing in here. There's been a little bit of everything. And so I'm guessing, Spanish too. This is like the most diverse episode of Starved Adults ever. So
I agree.
Gracious.
For people that are like, I just got to connect with Patty E., where should they go?
The best way is the brandyoueconomy.com. You can also hit me up at Twitter at Patty Elizee, Elizee. And also, if you go to Brand New Economy at the podcast, you'll see all my social media contents there that you can hit me up on Instagram and all the other ones. So that's the best way you can reach me.
I love it. Patty, what are your final thoughts for the listeners?
Well, my final thoughts is, life is really too short. Life is so short. So there are people that are very comfortable being worker bees, and it's okay about being worker bees. But for the entrepreneurial spirit that prefers to be the queen bee, so to speak, stop wasting your time making a living, helping others build their own dreams. Just step out of your comfort zone and start making a life in yourself. And the best way you can do it is to really figure out and leverage life's purpose, because guess what? It's a brand new economy.
Wow. Did you just say stop chasing influencers, Patty?
No, I didn't say that.
That's what I heard.
Stop
it. Patty, we appreciate you. We love everything you're up to. We love your style. We love your creativity, and best wishes to you in the brand new economy. I hope people reach out to you. And definitely, if you're coming to Podcast Movement, look out for Patty E. You will not miss her because she is going to make sure that you know that she's there. She's that cool. And Nicole, too. So Nicole will wrap with you. All right, Nicole, thank you for being a guest co-host. And Patty, we love you. Thank you.
Love you, Patty. Thank you, guys. Mwah. It is important for you as a person to constantly be changing. You got to be constantly learning, constantly being like a sponge to craft your message, to craft your brand, a positive message forward to the world, and to really make the best of what you have to offer so that you can elevate others.